I want to welcome back my guest, Chris Elmore, once again. And how are you, sir?
Doing good.
That's great. So, what I'm doing is this is going to be a variety to consider.
Okay.
So, would you agree with variety is the spice of life? I know, I
You know,
told you,
you do come up with good questions, Dana.
I
A-
try.
And it's a yes and no answer because for myself, I find I thrive in stability in having certain known quantities in my life.
Right?
I also recognize that we get bored if it's absolutely identical. If you went in and we pulled a Bill Murray Groundhog Day, uh, we might just do the toaster into the bathtub type scenario that he did. And then once you get past that point and you start to be able to live and just say, okay, here's who I am, here's my foundation, then you can get to know yourself better. And I think that variety that is there is perhaps just part of that deeper self knowledge and awareness that might go with it.
Um, do you think that stem cell research is a benefit to society to consider for their health?
And for those who are watching, just in case you're not aware, this is all free flowing information. So we're like, here you go. And I think the concept behind it, without knowing the sourcing or the morals behind it, because I'm aware enough of some things about how is it done, that if it's pulled properly, we'll caveat that part of it. The benefits that it can bring in terms of understanding, from what I understand of it, is significant.
And I would imagine that anybody that has any kind of flaw, that there's no other alternative, that's something to really consider, because they say that stem cell is actually safe. I mean, I don't know enough about it. I just know bits and pieces, and that's why I asked, because I wanted to get your perspective on it, because I really didn't know for sure.
And the answer is I don't know the ins and outs of what stem cell can do. But what I do look at, and this ties into what we were talking about earlier as we were getting set up today, which is my daughter just had her semi-annual checkup with her cardiac surgeon. She's 6 years old. She's had 3 open heart surgeries and half a heart bypass. These are things that would not 20 years ago have been possible. It would have been just a death sentence for her. So what is available and the gift of life there is just, you just cannot understand what the implications are of what you're doing now in 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now.
Right, right. Because things can change overnight. And the way innovation has come so far up to this point, it's amazing. Because medicine, I mean, I know that, well, this is going to be one of my questions. I mean, do you think that CBD is a great alternative or a good alternative to other medications that may be harmful to somebody in the long run over prolonged use?
Oh, okay. So the standard caveat there in terms of I'm not a medical professional,
Right, right,
but I will talk to you and share. I can look at, I know this particular individual who has had, I've lost track of the number of surgeries they've had. titanium rods in their body, etc., who have had normal chemical painkillers, which we all know the negative impact of them, plus just the addictive side effect of it. And they're able to go to, and they actually said, I can use kratom. Okay, so this isn't CBD, but along the same thought process, if you will.
Say that again. What is that?
Kratom, Kratom. But it follows the same principle, which are these are herbs that effectively hit the same receptors as your pharmaceutical grade painkillers. And so they literally were able to move off of these highly addictive prescription drug painkillers into that world. And based on their recommendation, it's like, okay, well, let me try this. And sure enough, it's really been very effective for me without having to, and let's paint the picture. I've had a broken foot for the last year. I went through that. I was like, why am I living in pain? I found out my foot was broken. So yeah, there you go.
And you didn't even know. Is that what you're saying?
I didn't, well, I knew I was in pain, but it wasn't consistent enough. But I was able to use this and be able to, okay, there we go, level out. So I didn't understand what was happening until I was like, something's off with it. And then I went and looked and they're like, yeah, you got this fracture in your foot. I'm like, thanks. So where I'm going with that though, is there are other alternatives beyond just over-the-counter pharmaceutical prescription drugs. And maybe I heard your question differently, Dana, but I'm looking at that and I'm saying there are other options. I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you take this or take that. But I can share, here's experiences of others, here's experiences of my own, and these are worthwhile questions to then ask and explore.
Right. And neither one of us are medical professionals, but that's why I try to entertain it by saying from your perspective, because
Absolutely.
Truly that's where we are. We have to, because it's a good question, I believe, anyways, for anybody, because they say that CBD is supposed to be the upcoming thing because of now they've legalized it and they're trying to even legalize it even that much more. So, right. So I'm just, I'm open to a lot of different things because me personally, I do believe in variety because some things work for others versus where some things don't work for another person. I mean, and that's like you just said, that kratom. I mean, that's something I didn't even know about. I'm being truthful. I really didn't know what it was. But going along again with variety, do you think that electric cars are a great alternative to fossil fuel and climate control? I mean, I know it's totally different, but yet it still has to do with health. I mean, I think personally.
So it really gets into what it is now versus what could it be 10, 20, 30 years from now. Right. Because if you look at it right now and you go to the electric car side of the equation, for example, you can find research that says actually you're going to be impacting the environment more just because of infrastructure and then what it takes to electricity still comes from somewhere. Okay. Right. It doesn't just magically appear. So if your core source is still supporting it, you've got to look at that. However, if it is a progression where 20, 30, 40 years from now, we've made a significant shift, and it may take, maybe it takes 100 years. But what we can do right now in terms of transportation, mobility, et cetera, compared to 100 years ago, is staggering. They just, no way, you really? you drive across the country, fly across in hours. These are things that just weren't there. So as a progression, there's, in my opinion, value in running down the road, even if you're looking at it saying, well, technically the numbers right now don't support the change. It's where's the change bringing us? It's and that may be a good point right there, Dana, which is change in and of itself. It's harder, right? An object in motion remains in motion unless acted on by an outside force. We're acting on it and saying shift. That's going to be hard to do, and it's not necessarily during that shift that you're getting the return. But once you get it on this new course and it starts going down that road, perhaps that's the point where something significant comes in for us, because we do have to look at these things. It's not an infinite supply in there.
Well, and the reason why I can say this personally is when I went with my neighbor probably a month ago, right here, probably 3 miles away, there were, I thought they were gas pumps, and they were electric hubs. I'm serious. There had to be at least 20 of them there. I was really shocked, and it said Tesla on them too. And I said, "Oh wow! Say, look at this. He's already moved into Oconee County, South Carolina."
Is the change happening? It's coming.
Well, it is. I mean, because there's just, well, you see it on the internet. There's just so much information that we're getting daily. Every second, there's something changing. And that's why I'm trying to look for what's the most positive for either one of us or anybody out there in what they feel is significant in their health and environment, because environment plays a big role in our health itself. And sitting by the fire, that's the best way to live. You know that.
Oh, yes.
If I drank beer, I'd offer you a beer, but you know, we could have anything. I mean, a non-alcoholic drink. It doesn't matter.
Hey, I will take my, you can't quite see it here, but
I can
my
see it.
beverage
What is it?
choice.
Is it water?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. See, right here, I've gotten, I don't drink it all the time, not every drink, but this is a Perrier. I like it. I enjoy it. It's a carbonation, but yet it's at the same time, it's still a water.
Absolutely. And if we're in Europe, that would be standard operating.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. You know, I guess really to just wrap it up, why is it that we struggle so much when inside of all of us, how did this body become what it is to be able to naturally heal itself? But we have to understand the combination of what we can put inside, ingest, whatever, and understand our own physical being, because for most people, oh man, I love that cake. I got to say it again. And they just constantly eat it. Oh man, can't believe how I feel. Well, I wonder why. You overdid it.
You overdid it, and then it's just understanding truly how your body's wired, how it's structured,
Absolutely.
and what's in a natural state, what's synthetic, and sadly, sugar's synthetic. So right there, you're starting to play with some loaded dice. It's like it's not going to be a good thing for you.
What I've made as a choice, as far as anything, I know I like my other kinds of sweets. But as far as sugar intake, erythritol, have you ever heard of it?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Well, that's what I consume. I have it drinks. I've even bought the powder itself to, if I want to make my own kind of drinks, lemonade, whatever I want to make, teas, it doesn't matter. Then that's actually a healthier.
And yes, you get like that monk fruit. There's some good. There are really good options out there.
Gotcha.
And I always struggle over the word erythritol, but
I do too. You could tell.
of the different items that are out there, that's one which has been shown consistently to cause the least amount of intestinal distress. It's doesn't, not spiking your blood sugar levels. It's so when you're getting into it, the negative reports on that are just, quite bluntly, I'm not seeing any other than a mild level for some people of distress. And that's been it. I haven't gotten we've all heard of aspartame and, oh, look at the problems that could be out there. I mean, you just go out on the internet and you can Google this. It's not Chris says this. It's there's plenty of science and studies that are out there. And you look at it and you realize, okay, there are good choices out there. And you're spot on with that. That's a nice way to do it. I've not actually gone through the monk fruit part myself. I'm on the same boat you are there. But that is one of the items that's on my radar, just again, because that's supposed to be a very potent but very beneficial sweetener.
Right.
Variety.
There you go. There you go. And see I guess the last point I wanted to make about that erythritol, it also is a vasodilator. Yes, yes, yes. And that's what got me, because of my father having prostate cancer at 52 years old. And then, of course, it's genetic. But I mean, I'm not going to tell you that I have prostate cancer, and I'm not going to say I can't get it, because it can skip a generation and go to my nephews even, or my brother. But here I am, almost 63, and here I can knock on wood. I mean, yeah, I do get up in the middle of the night, but I think it's because of my consumption of different types of a bunch of water. I drink a lot of it, and I think that's what it is. My bladder is not able to empty enough because
it happens to us all. I learned I had to back my water off to, okay, about 4 hours before I'm going to bed. I really just need to pull that down. Otherwise, yeah.
Right.
Midnight run.
Well, Chris, I'm going to end this, and honestly, I mean, I could go on even longer with you, but I'm being respectful with you because I'm thankful that you're here.
I enjoy these times in our conversations, Dana. Absolutely.
I really do too.